If you're over 60 and looking for an SUV, let me say something that may save you a great deal of discomfort. The tallest one on the forecourt is probably the wrong one. You're told higher is better, easier access, better view, more comfort. But for many of you, especially with stiff hips, arthritic knees, or a lower back that has its own opinions, climbing up into an SUV is no easier than dropping down into a low saloon. It's just the opposite problem. Here is the principle that matters. It decides every vehicle on this list. The seat must meet your hip, not above it, not below it, level with it. If the seat is too low, you drop into it and haul yourself back out. If it's too high, you climb and twist. Neither is what you want. The correct height allows you to turn, sit, and swing your legs in. No falling, no climbing, no levering yourself up with the steering wheel. And here's the mistake many people make with SUVs. They assume all of them sit at the same height. They don't. Some are surprisingly low. Others are awkwardly tall. Some have thick sills that make matters worse. Some have narrow door openings that force you to twist. So before we go any further, I want you to do something practical. Go and stand next to your current car. Stand straight. Feel where your hip bone naturally sits against the bodywork. Then think about your driver's seat. Is it high, low, or level? Just one word in the comments: high, low, or level. Most people have never actually checked. They just feel it. And feeling is often wrong. 5 SUVs today, all under 3,000 pounds in the current UK market. All chosen with one goal: zero headaches. That means sensible petrol engines, manageable road tax, fewer known mechanical nightmares, and seating that works for older joints. I'm not interested in fashion. I'm interested in whether you can get in and out without wincing. I'm James, and this is British motoring advice. No manufacturer pays for inclusion here. No press cars. No sponsored placements. And we don't sell cars. It's independent advice based on ownership patterns, common faults, and what actually works for older drivers in the real world. If that's useful to you, subscribe. It costs nothing, and it helps the channel reach people who genuinely need this sort of guidance. Before we begin the list, one instruction. Before you even go to view a car, put the registration into the vehicle tax checker on Governor UK. It takes 30 seconds. It costs nothing. And the difference between one engine and another can be several hundred pounds a year. Also check Clean Air Zone rules if you live near one. In some parts of the UK, especially Scotland, it isn't a charge, it's a ban. Right? Number 5, Suzuki SX4, 2006 to 2014, 1.6 petrol. This is for someone who wants something modest in size. Not bulky, not heavy, not intimidating. The Suzuki SX4 sits in a useful middle ground. It's technically a small crossover rather than a full SUV, but that works in its favor. The seating position is higher than a standard hatchback, but not so tall that you're climbing into it. For many people between about 5'3" and 5'10", the seat lands close to natural hip height. You step across rather than down. The doors open wide, and the sills are narrow enough that you're not dragging your leg over a thick plastic ledge. Visibility is simple and honest. Large glass area. Upright windscreen. You can see where the corners are. Now the mechanical advantage. The 1.6 petrol engine uses a timing chain, not a belt. There is no scheduled cam bolt replacement. It's naturally aspirated. No turbocharger. No direct injection complications. It is straightforward and proven. For short journeys, shops, surgery, visiting family, that matters. There's no diesel particulate filter to clog. No turbo to cook itself if oil changes have been missed. Road tax typically sits in the mid-bands for the petrol, often around the 200 to 300 pound mark depending on year and emissions. Now, the honest bit, the interior plastics are hard. It's not refined. Road noise is noticeable at motorway speeds. Check for rust underneath, particularly rear subframes and suspension components. Early cars especially. Also listen for suspension knocks over uneven surfaces. Drop links and bushes are common wear items, though not expensive. If you want something plush and quiet, this isn't it. But if you want upright seating, mechanical simplicity, and something that feels light rather than lumbering, the SX4 makes sense. Modest height. Chain engine, simple ownership. Number 4, Hyundai Tucson 2005 to 2010 2.0 petrol. This is for someone who wants a proper traditional SUV shape, not a fashion crossover. Something square, solid, straightforward. The first generation Hyundai Tucson is often overlooked, which is precisely why it falls comfortably under 3,000 pounds. Let's begin with the seating. The driving position is genuinely upright. The seat base is broad and flat, not heavily bolstered, which makes sliding in and out easier. The height, for many people, lands very close to hip level. You're not stepping up into a ladder frame. You're not dropping into a hole. You turn, sit, and bring your legs in. The doors open wide, and the aperture is tall. That matters more than people realize. If you're ducking your head every time you get in, it becomes tiring. The boot height is sensible. Not as low as an estate car, but not chest high either. Shopping lifts straight across rather than up and over. Mechanically, the 2.0 petrol is the one to have. It's a simple, naturally aspirated unit with a timing belt, but it's a conventional belt setup, not an exotic one. Provided it has been changed at the correct interval, it is dependable. No turbo. No direct injection, no particulate filter. Road tax varies by year, but often sits in the mid to higher bands, commonly around 300 to 400 pounds annually. Not the cheapest here, so you must check the exact registration. Now, the honest bit, fuel economy is not stellar. Expect low 30s mpg in mixed driving. The automatic gearbox, if fitted, is old-fashioned and not particularly efficient. Perfectly usable, but not quick. Check underneath carefully. Rear suspension components and subframes can suffer corrosion. Also inspect the clutch on manuals. They are not light. This is not a refined modern SUV. It feels from another era. But that era valued simplicity. Broad seat, honest engine, solid and unfussy. Number 3, Nissan Qashqai, 2007 to 2013, 1.6 petrol only. Now we come to something far more common. The early Qashqai was everywhere for a reason. It hit a sweet spot for height and footprint. This is for someone who wants something compact enough to park easily, but tall enough to avoid the drop of a hatchback. The seating height is slightly higher than the Suzuki, slightly lower than the Tucson. For many drivers, especially around average height, it sits very close to natural hip alignment. You don't climb, you don't sink. You step across. The visibility is good without feeling bulky. The bonnet is visible. The driving position feels familiar rather than commercial. Boot height is manageable. It's not cavernous, but it's practical for weekly shopping or a folded walker. Now the crucial part, petrol only. Specifically the 1.6 naturally aspirated petrol. Avoid the 1.2 turbo from later years. Avoid diesel if you're mostly doing short runs. The 1.6 petrol uses a timing chain and is mechanically simple compared to later turbocharged options. It copes far better with short, low-speed driving. Road tax for early petrol models often falls into mid-range bands, typically between 250 pounds and 350 pounds depending on emissions. Now the honest bit, these are now aging cars. Suspension wear is common. Listen for knocks over rough roads. Check for uneven tire wear, which can indicate worn bushes. Interior trim can rattle. It won't feel tight like it once did. Also inspect carefully for clutch wear on manuals and ensure the air conditioning functions correctly. Repairs can be costly relative to the car's value. This is not the most robust SUV ever built. But if you choose carefully and stick to the simple petrol, it offers one of the easiest step-in heights on the used market at this price. Balanced height, familiar feel. Choose the right engine. Quick favor before the top 2, because that's where the proper no-headache SUVs are. If this is helpful, tap the like button. It tells YouTube to show this to more people who are quietly trying to make the same decision. And in the comments, tell me which of these you'd actually consider owning. Just the model name, right? Number 2, Toyota RAV4, 2006 to 2012, 2.0 VVTi petrol. If number 3 was the balanced choice, this is the dependable one. The third generation Toyota RAV4 has something many newer SUVs lost in the pursuit of styling: clarity. You sit upright. The glass area is generous, the pillars aren't excessively thick. You can see out of it without relying on cameras and sensors. For seniors especially, that reduces fatigue. Now the seat height. For many drivers, it lands very close to that ideal hip level position. You are not climbing as you would into a large 4x4, nor are you lowering yourself as you would into a saloon. You turn, you sit, you swing your legs in. The door opening is tall and reasonably square. No dramatic coupe roofline cutting into your headroom. The boot floor is flat and wide. The rear door opens sideways rather than lifting, which some people prefer because it's lighter to operate. Others don't. It's worth trying yourself. Now, the mechanical reason this car is here. The 2.0 VVTi petrol engine uses a timing chain, no scheduled cam replacement. It is naturally aspirated, no turbocharger, no diesel particulate filter. It tolerates short journeys well. It doesn't punish you for 3 miles to the shops and back. Gearboxes, both manual and traditional torque converter automatic, are generally robust if serviced properly. Road tax varies, but most 2.0 petrol examples sit in the mid to upper bands, often 300 to 400 pounds per year. Not cheap, but predictable. Now the honest bit, these engines can consume oil if neglected. Check service history carefully. Ask the owner directly how often they check the oil level, rear suspension bushes, and drop links wear. Listen for knocking over uneven roads. Also inspect underneath for corrosion, particularly if it has spent its life near the coast. And one more practical point. Some older drivers find the side-hinged rear door awkward in tight parking spaces. Make sure it works for your driveway and habits. This is not the cheapest SUV to run on this list, but it is one of the least dramatic. Straightforward engine. Sensible height. Built to last if maintained. Number 1. Honda CR-V 2007 to 2012 2.0 i VTEC Petrol. This is the one mechanics quietly approve of. The 2.0 i VTEC petrol engine uses a timing chain. It is naturally aspirated. It has been in various forms for years, and it is known for durability when serviced properly. No turbo, no DBF, no complicated dual-clutch gearbox if you choose the conventional automatic. Now the seating. The CR-V sits at a height that, for many older drivers, is almost exactly right. It is higher than the Qashqai, slightly lower than some bulkier 4x4s. The seat base is supportive but not aggressively bolstered. You open a wide door, you turn, you sit at hip level, you bring your legs in without climbing. The driving position is commanding without feeling oversized. The bonnet line is visible. The mirrors are large. For drivers who value awareness over gadgets, it works. The boot is wide and square, with a reasonably manageable lift-over height. Not estate car low, but not awkwardly tall either. Road tax, again, is not the cheapest here. Many 2.0 petrol examples fall around the 300 to 400 pound mark depending on year and emissions band. Always check the registration. Now the honest bit. Fuel economy sits realistically in the low 30s mpg. It is not frugal. Rear brake calipers can stick if servicing has been skipped. Listen for dragging or uneven braking. Air conditioning compressors can fail on neglected cars. Test it thoroughly. And as with all SUVs of this age, check underneath for corrosion and inspect suspension components for wear. But here is why it takes number 1. Across high mileages, with regular oil changes, these engines are known to keep going without expensive internal failures. No fragile turbo, no complex diesel after treatment system, no widespread catastrophic design flaw. It is one of the lowest real-world headache risks in this price bracket. Right height, proven engine, long-term durability, quick run back through all 5. Number 5, the Suzuki SX4, compact size, chain-driven 1.6 petrol, light, simple, easy to place on the road. Number 4, the Hyundai Tucson, traditional SUV shape, broad seat, straightforward 2.0 petrol without modern complications. Number 3, the Nissan Qashqai 1.6 petrol, balanced height, familiar feel, Choose the naturally aspirated engine and avoid the later turbos. Number 2, the Toyota RAV4 2.0 petrol. Chain-driven reliability. Clear visibility. Built for steady, uneventful ownership. And number 1, the Honda CR-V 2.0 IA VTEC. Proven long-term durability, correct seating height for many drivers, one of the safest mechanical bets under 3,000 pounds. Now step back from the individual models. None of these are fashionable. None of them are especially quick. None of them will impress the neighbors. That is precisely the point. At this budget, you are not buying image. You are buying mechanical honesty and physical comfort. And comfort does not begin with leather seats or touchscreens. It begins with how you enter and exit the vehicle. The seat must meet your hip, not above it, not below it, level. If it's wrong, you will feel it every single day. In supermarket car parks, outside the GP surgery, on your own driveway. If the engine is wrong, you may not feel it immediately, but your bank account will. Turbochargers fail quietly. Diesel particulate filters block slowly. Dual clutch gearboxes develop faults without warning. And on a 3,000-pound vehicle, one large repair can exceed the value of the car. That is why every vehicle here prioritizes naturally aspirated petrol engines with established reliability records. Before you buy anything, do 3 things. First, check the registration on Governor UK for road tax band. The difference between similar-looking cars can be hundreds per year. Second, check MOT history online. Look for repeated advisories, corrosion, suspension wear, brake imbalance. Patterns matter more than one-off faults. Third, physically sit in the car properly. Don't hover. Don't rush. Turn your body as you would normally. Sit without using the steering wheel to pull yourself down. Then get back out again without pushing heavily on the door frame. If you have to climb or drop, it is the wrong car, regardless of badge. There is a tendency, particularly in retirement, to think you must adapt yourself to the car. You don't. The car must adapt to you. If your knees are slower than they were 10 years ago, that's normal. If your lower back objects to twisting, that's normal. If you prefer simplicity over touchscreens and warning lights, that's sensible. What isn't sensible is buying something because a neighbor recommended it without ever checking whether it actually suits your body or your driving habits. At under 3,000 pounds, perfection is unrealistic. Every vehicle at this price will have wear. It will have history. It may have the occasional rattle. What you're trying to avoid is the expensive mistake, the wrong engine, the wrong height, the wrong complexity for the journeys you actually do. If most of your driving is local, shops, friends, appointments, a simple petrol engine without turbocharging is usually the safer path. If you rarely exceed 40 miles per hour, a diesel with a particulate filter is often the wrong tool for the job. And if you wince every time you get out of your car, no amount of reliability statistics will fix that. So take this slowly. Stand beside your current car again and think about that one word you chose earlier. High, low, or level. Because that is the filter through which every SUV should now pass. What are you driving at the moment? How old are you? And when you get in and out, does the seat meet your hip, or do you climb into it? That's the question most people never ask. And it's usually the one that matters most.